Gale-force winds are expected to hit flood-ravaged parts of New South Wales today, with severe weather warnings also in place in South Australia, which copped the brunt of the cold front yesterday. Thousands of properties are still without power across SA, storms carving a path of destruction, whipping up dust storms and causing tidal surges.
And although it has delivered some much-needed rain, the wild weather appears to have been more of a hindrance for drought-stricken farmers. Our reporter Rachel Merritt is in Adelaide for us this morning, while Julia Andre is in Sydney. Lovely to see you both. First to Adelaide and you, Rachel. What's the latest where you are?
Good morning, James. Well, the clean-up is certainly underway this morning after we saw those gusty and wet conditions yesterday. Now, there is still a severe weather warning in place for the Flinders and mid-north parts of the state. They're expecting to see those gusty conditions continue today. But for Adelaide, we have seen the worst of that cold front has passed us now. We saw those showers and thunderstorm activity continue overnight. There was about 14 mils recorded in the gauges in the past 24 hours. And to put that into context, that's about the most rainfall that the city has seen in the past 9 months. But yesterday we saw those gale-force winds. The strongest of those were recorded on Neptune Island, which reached around 126 kilometres per hour. And that was responsible for whipping up those tides. And we saw those monster tidal surges lashing the coastline yesterday. At the peak yesterday, South Australian Power Network says there was about 28,000 customers who were impacted by power outages, and we understand that this morning there's around 3,000 customers who are still without power this morning. Now, this wasn't the drenching that a lot of our regional farmers were hoping for. In some parts, they recorded just over 1 mil of rainfall, and we saw those very dramatic scenes, those dust storms being whipped up, and that certainly caused some significant damage to topsoil there. So not that that well-earned drenching that we were certainly waiting for, James.
And Julia, to you in New South Wales, gale-force winds are expected to sweep across a fair bit of the state. Flood-affected communities, though, are worried about this, understandably.
Yes, James, that's right. So that cold front that Rachel just mentioned, that's going to start moving through parts of southern and eastern New South Wales today. There's a gale-force wind warning all the way from Eden up the coast to the Port Macquarie area, and then there's a strong wind warning for the Coffs and Byron area, and that's of real concern for those flood-impacted areas because, of course, the ground is absolutely drenched there, which means that it's a lot easier for trees to get uprooted and to fall down. And the Prime Minister actually mentioned yesterday that the risk is not over for those flood-impacted areas because of this wind, and he urged residents to just use common sense. He's actually travelling up to Taree today, and yesterday when he was asked about the cost of that disaster, he said he was unsure as of yet, but he wanted to assure any residents that were flood impacted that they would get the support that they needed. Now, 70 Australian Defence Force personnel will also arrive on the mid-north coast today, and that'll be to door knock and to clear debris just in those flood impacted areas. There are still 2,200 SES personnel on the ground in those flood impacted areas who are helping out the more than 12,000 residents who are still isolated by those flood waters. So the recovery efforts are only just beginning, and it's going to be a long process.